never know. I'll have to defer to Ski on that one.
On the next question, Kaz,
How do you do not disturb on this one? Do you start on this? Because it'll have just as annoying of a ring. There's a way to hit. Make her talk.
Is ready? Okay, everyone, we'll get started here. First off, my name is Sergeant Dwayne English. I'm the Public Affairs Sergeant for the Joliet Police Department. Welcome and thank you for everyone for attending our first ever Public Safety Forum for the City of Joliet. We're so honored that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening to speak and comment about very, very important subjects. Just before we begin, I wanted to go over a couple things on how tonight will work. When you arrived today, you probably got an agenda, and it was requested if you had a question for the mayor, the police chief, or the fire chief to put that question on a comment card. Many of you had questions if you would be able to speak publicly as well, and yes, you will, and I'll explain in a moment. So the format of tonight's public forum is we will hear from Mayor Darcy, then we'll hear from Police Chief Bill Evans, and then we'll hear from Fire Chief Jeff Carey. Following their remarks, that's when I will collect those cards, and as your moderator, I will provide those questions to the appropriate person to answer those questions. Following those questions, myself and another individual will come to you with a microphone for anyone that would like to make a comment or make a statement. I know there are many people here, and to be respectful of time, we ask that you keep your comments brief or keep your questions brief, and that we can stay on task and stay on point so then we can provide and have the best collaboration possible. The essence of this gathering is collaborative. Public safety is a shared responsibility, and it is only through working together we can foster a safe environment for us all. Our goal tonight is to kick off a constructive dialogue that allows our public safety agencies and community members to share insights, ask questions, and build a stronger perspective. We're here to listen and provide as much information as possible while remaining respectful of the weight of some of these public safety concerns. As such, we will not be addressing elements of specific cases as to protect the privacy of victims and their families. As we discuss general safety measures, investigative processes, and community concerns, I encourage you to think about how we can collectively contribute to enhancing safety and trust within the city of Joliet. This forum is a safe space for all voices. Let's ensure that our discussions are respectful, focused, and aimed at building solutions. I implore you all to stay cognizant of the fact that there are people in attendance tonight who have endured the tragedy of losing a loved one, and they deserve our grace and our respect. Additionally, we understand that such a conversation may evoke strong emotions. While it is important to feel as if we can all express our feelings, the best collaboration will come with candor and decorum. I will now take a moment to introduce our speakers. At the middle table, on the right, we have Police Chief Bill Evans. In the middle, the Honorable Mayor Terry Darcy. And to the left, we have Joliet Fire Department Chief Jeff Carey. It's okay, you can clap, it's fine. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce some of the members of the administration that have joined both the police departments and the fire department. At the table here, we have Deputy Chief Sherry Blackburn, Deputy Chief Carlos Matlock, Deputy Chief Robert Brown, and Deputy Chief Chris Boatsam. And on the fire department side, we have Deputy Chief John Stachelski, Deputy Chief John Cook, and Deputy Chief Aaron Kozlowski. Also, I wanted to take a moment to recognize some of our city officials that are in attendance tonight. We have City Manager Beth Beatty. We have at-large Councilwoman Jan Quillman. I saw you somewhere. There you are. And also District 5 Councilwoman Susanna Barra. Again, thank you so much for being here. If I could call on Reverend Brooks to lead us in a moment of silence and a moment of prayer.
Thank you, Sergeant English. As he had stated, some of the families in this room right now, some that couldn't be here on tonight, that have been affected by some of the issues we're going to talk about on tonight. So in your own way, whatever you believe, would you join me in a moment of silence as we observe those families and what they have lost? Thank you. Shall we pray? Father God, we thank you, Lord, for this time, these people that have gathered here in this room on tonight, that we might discuss the concerns of our city of Joliet. On tonight, the word of our Lord reminds us in Job 38, when Job lost all his children and all that he had, Lord, he came to you to ask for questions. And we're here tonight looking for questions that, Lord, we know that you can answer. We're also here on tonight to hear from our public officials to help us understand these things that we cannot change. Now, Lord, we ask you to bless these your people that are gathered here on tonight, this agenda and those officials among us, that we might do the will of the Lord for all of the citizens of the city of Joliet. In our Lord's name we pray, amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend. All right, starting off, I present Mayor Terry Darcy.
I'd like to thank Reverend Brooks for those words of prayer and encouragement. I don't think we can ever have enough prayer, so let's just keep doing that every day and every evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know we all have busy schedules, but it's important that we attend an event like this, and I know we're going to have more in the future. When I ran for mayor, I was concerned about several things in the city, but safety is a big thing to all of us. And the things that I ran on were community, communication, and collaboration. And tonight is the culmination of something like that, to where, you know, we've worked hard to get this community together to communicate and to collaborate so that we can make this city safer for all of us. And, you know, we've got a wonderful fire and police department, and we got a wonderful city here to work with, and we need you to work with us to understand how we can better make this city as safe as possible all the time. So we really do appreciate all the feedback we've gotten over the period of time, over this last year and a few months that I've been here. I really am delighted about how much we've been able to communicate with all of you at the city level. I want to commend Chief Evans and Chief Carey for helping to formulate the concept for this first State of the City address actually related to public safety. I sincerely hope we can make this an annual event. It's important for me as the mayor to know that you feel safe in this community. I do. I never worry about it. We have the finest police department, finest fire department in all the lands, and that's what I tell people all the time. So I thank them, and I thank all the folks that work, our first responders, and that would be in our street crew, public utilities. I mean, those are all first responders along with our police and fire crew. So we owe them a debt of gratitude. We have a lot of information to share tonight, so I don't want to spend a lot of time up here. I'd like us to get into the depth of what we want to do tonight to share everything that we have and then get into some collaborative conversation. So thank you all again for coming out tonight. With that, I'll introduce Chief Evans. Thank you.
Good evening. I don't think I'll be able to top the mayor's speech, but I'll do my best. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to be here tonight. Your presence reflects the deep commitment to safety and well-being of our community, and it underscores the importance of the issues we face together. Our city thrives on the strength of its people. It's through collaboration and mutual support that we can address the challenges we face and build a safer, stronger city of Joliet. The foundation of any successful police department is trust and collaboration with the community. Policing is not something that happens in isolation. It is a shared responsibility with our community. The police and the public must work hand in hand to ensure and create an environment where everybody feels safe. In fact, those ideals can be found in our mission statement, working with the community for a safe city. In Joliet, we are fortunate to have a diverse and dynamic community, with each neighborhood having its own unique character and challenges. And understanding these nuances is essential to effective policing. This understanding comes from the dialogue and building relationships with our residents. One of my goals for this evening is to invite you to share in the dialogue with not only the Joliet Police Department, but the Fire Department and the City of Joliet. Our dialogue is the cornerstone of trust and collaboration in any community. It is through honest, ongoing conversations that we understand each other's concerns and their expectations. In Joliet, the dialogue is not just beneficial, it is essential for effective policing and overall public safety. When we communicate openly, we bridge the gap between law enforcement and the public. We move beyond the barriers of misunderstanding and build relationships grounded in mutual respect and support. This connection allows the Joliet Police Department to serve you better and respond to your needs more effectively with a shared goal of working together to address the many concerns we have here in Joliet. I mentioned earlier that this forum is focused on building relationships and sharing. And I know the community has some concerns about crime in our neighborhoods. And hopefully tonight we can address some of those concerns and pass on some valuable information that will be useful to you. I understand that the river deaths are a concern for our community, and we will address that situation here tonight. I also think it's important that the City of Joliet, to see what the City of Joliet is doing to combat crime and improve the health of our city. So I put together a list of a couple things that we managed to accomplish over the last 18 months that might be of note to you. Within the last 18 months, the department has invested in another 30 flock cameras and over a dozen Genetec cameras to help cover the entire city, bringing our total camera inventory to nearly 100 cameras on the streets of Joliet, including 8 cameras that are strategically placed and positioned on the riverfront, with another 4 expected to be going up soon. We've expanded our de-escalation training to be even more robust than the state mandates us to be. The city will be investing in a dozen signs to post helpline information for those who are in distress or those who are having mental health episode. Several of these signs will be placed along the riverfront. We continue to invest thousands of dollars in various technological tools to improve the way our detectives approach an investigation and solve crime. Most importantly, we are investing in human capital by recruiting and hiring new officers regularly throughout the last 2 years. While we're still working towards being fully staffed, we continue to forge ahead with new hires. I'm sure every once in a while the taxpayers wonder what they're getting on return for their investment. So I prepared another small list to share with you regarding the recent equipment improvements that we've made at the Joliet Police Department to improve our ability to serve you in the community better. We've re-outfitted the SOS squad with updated technology and tactical equipment. You may ask why this is important. Because at the crucible moment when things go really bad in the city of Joliet, an active shooter, a hostage barricade situation, that is the group we will be calling out. And I have to make sure that they have the best equipment, they are the best trained, and they are on point to handle such a situation. So we invested a lot of money in them in the last 18 months to 2 years to make sure that they were operational at all times. We took delivery of 55 new squad cars to replace the very outdated fleet of police vehicles that we had. Now, I know that probably about 2 years ago, you saw what we were driving around on the streets. Even the bad guys felt bad for us. But we got 55 new cars in. The staff worked tremendously hard to get this rolling, and we're going to get another 15 or 18 next year. We can't help you out if we can't get to you, right? So we'll move forward with that, and we're pleased to have the 55 in. We've invested over $200,000 in advanced and specialized training to prepare our officers for even the worst of situations. We're very pro-training here at the Joliet Police Department. We've outfitted our entire workforce with new state-of-the-art body cameras, even beyond what the state mandates us to do. We've ordered each officer a new Motorola radio, replacing the previous model that was 10 years old, still working, but not as effective. Now you may ask, what does the situation look like statistically as far as violent crime to this point in 2024? Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that in 2023, the Joliet Police Department responded to over 89,000 calls for service. This last year, we've had 10 homicides. The detectives boast a clearance rate of over 80% for the second year running. I'd also like to point out that the national average for clearance, homicide clearances, is between 47% and 52%. And I also wanted to point out that we had a very tragic situation in January here where we had 7 deceased people. So 7 of those incidences, 7 of those homicides were all part of one particular incident. And now for some stats that I think you'll be pleased with. Aggravated batteries in the city of Joliet are down 5%. Aggravated discharge of a firearm is down 53%. Reckless discharge of a firearm is down 33%. Overall shootings, down 37%. Robberies are down 18%. The Joliet Police Department has recovered over 112 firearms off the street this year alone. So often people ask us what they can do to be an asset to the community. So we got together with our 911 folks, and they kind of gave us an idea to put out to you. And the idea is this: when an emergency occurs, every second counts. We know that. Our 911 dispatchers are highly trained professionals who play a critical role in ensuring that you receive the assistance you need. I'm proud to share the fact that Joliet Police Department houses the only standalone 911 communications center in Will County. So our police dispatchers and our fire dispatchers only handle City of Joliet calls. One common concern that we hear is the perception that the questions asked by the dispatcher during a 911 call delay the arrival of first responders. I want to assure you that that is not the case. In fact, the questions asked by the dispatcher are an essential part of the emergency response process and are designed to ensure that help is sent to you immediately without delay. One of the strengths of our 911 center is the ability to manage multiple tasks at once. Dispatchers are trained to handle calls efficiently, gathering information while coordinating response teams. This means there is no unnecessary delay in getting help to you. This concurrent action ensures that the first responders are already en route while additional information is being collected to guide the response of the first responder. Confirming your last location and exact location is paramount. Whether you're calling from a landline or you're calling from a cellular phone, providing precise details about where you are ensures that the first responders can reach you immediately. While many assume that calling from a cell phone automatically provides an accurate location and data, this is not always the case. A lot of times we just get plots of where you might be. We rely on you to verify your location with our dispatchers to avoid any delays or errors in our response. And always remember, be the eyes and ears of our community. That is really the central theme of what you can do to help the police and help your community. You are the eyes and ears of our community, and we would ask that you continue to do that. It's always important to ensure that you're a good witness by taking notes of detailed things and descriptions. It also is very helpful if you have a Ring camera or another version of surveillance camera attached to your house. This information we get from the community in that regard has been exceptionally helpful in a lot of criminal events that we've been involved in. I wanted to make a statement about the river deaths. I promised you I would do that, and I put together a statement that I think will resonate with you, but it's important for me to cover this issue. Over the past few years, our city has experienced a series of tragic events in which numerous individuals have been discovered deceased in the Des Plaines River. As your police chief, I stand before you with a heavy heart, but also with a commitment to transparency, action, partnership as we navigate through this conversation and work towards a possible solution. These deaths are profoundly troubling and understandably have sparked fear and speculation. Each life that is lost is a tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and friends of those that are grieving. While each case is unique, each case has been investigated by our investigations division with a goal of learning the truth about what actually happened and offering even a glimmer of closure to those loved ones. So far, our investigation has not uncovered any evidence to support the belief that these deaths has resulted from any act of foul play. Each case is unique and complex, and while there are similarities in the locations where the victims were found, the circumstances surrounding every death vary significantly. I want to emphasize the critical importance of conducting our police investigations based on fact, not assumptions or conjure. In our line of work, adherence to evidence and thorough analysis is paramount to maintaining public trust and ensuring justice. Every investigation we undertake is built upon the foundation of factual evidence. This involves collecting and meticulously analyzing evidence, corroborating information from reliable sources, and following the facts where they may lead, even if the challenges are initial perspectives or expectations. By anchoring our investigation in verifiable evidence, we uphold the law, protect the innocent, and ensure that the truth prevails. We at the Joliet Police Department always stand ready to receive new information that may influence the path of any investigation, and we encourage anybody that has information regarding any of these tragic deaths to reach out to us, even if they wish to do that anonymously. I want to thank you for listening to me. Hopefully I was able to give you a little bit of information that you didn't have prior to being here. I will turn the mic over to the next speaker, which I believe is Fire Chief Jeff Carey. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Evans, and thank all you guys for being here this evening. Just like the mayor said, I know everybody has busy schedules, so we appreciate you guys coming out and listening to what we have to say. Tonight I'm going to give you a brief presentation on the fire department's mission and vision, our current fire and EMS statistics, the trends we're seeing in the fire service, our community risk reduction vision, and the new programs we have to offer the community. Our mission in the Joliet Fire Department is to protect and enhance the quality of life of the community through education, active intervention, innovative prevention, and professional response. You notice I say professional response last, because if we can educate the community and mitigate issues before and prevent them, then hopefully we can reduce the amount of times we need to respond. The vision of the Joliet Fire Department is a two-part vision. It encompasses of who we've been in the past and where we're going. The Joliet Fire Department will be a progressive, community-oriented organization that leads the community in public safety through strong outreach and education programs. That's where we're going. But we will maintain our offensive interior firefighting tactics, provide emergency medical services, and environmental protection. So that's kind of who we've always been. In 2023, the Joliet Fire Department responded to over 23,000 incidents. 78% of our incidents are EMS-based, and 22% of those are fire-based. Fire responses include a wide range of calls, not just structure fires. We had 318 fires last year. 132 of those were structure fires. Unattended cooking fires continue to be the #1 cause of fires in Joliet at 36% of our fires. According to the FBI bomb arson tracking system, 28% of reported fires in the United States were incendiary. In Joliet, that number is only 5%. So we are way below the standard of incendiary fires here in the city of Joliet. And that comes from, if you guys remember, in 1992, they provided a combined arson task force with the Joliet Police Department, and they started making arrests of these arsonists, and that's drastically reduced our number of arsons ever since that time. Although the number of structure fires in the U.S. have steadily declined in the past 20 years, the alarming number is that the number of fire deaths have continued to rise. The increasing amount of synthetic materials in our homes these days cause the fires to burn hotter and faster than ever before. This leaves us less time to escape if a fire should occur. Over 70% of the fire deaths in the United States occur in your home. It is very important to have working smoke detectors, a fire escape plan, and close your door when you sleep. If you ever watch any of the YouTube videos that show when a door is closed in a fire, the room is almost completely clean. That'll buy us time until the fire department gets there and can make a rescue. Each year, the Joliet Fire Department partners with the American Red Cross in their Sound the Alarm campaign to issue free smoke detectors in the community. This year, we provided 622 smoke detectors in over 224 residents. While we do have one big campaign each year, if you guys know anyone who needs a smoke detector or wants a smoke detector, we do take that information, and when we get enough people, we'll do smaller campaigns throughout the year. Although the number of structure fires have decreased, the Joliet Fire Department responded to a record number of calls in 2023. Our responses have increased by over 61% in the last 20 years. The majority of our calls, like we showed earlier, are for emergency medical services. Our ambulance responded to over 19,000 calls for emergency medical care last year. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. Each year, the Joliet Fire Department responds to over 300 cardiac arrests, including over 1,500 other cardiac issues. To increase our cardiac survival rates, we changed the way we performed CPR a few years ago to a method they call advanced cardiac resuscitation. Before we changed the way we did CPR, we used to get return of pulses back on about 22% of the people who had cardiac arrest in Joliet. After we changed these methods, which basically involved doing better CPR, we now receive pulses back on over 50% of our cardiac arrest. While that number is great, the only way we can improve is with the help of the community. We offer free AED, CPR, and Stop the Bleed classes to all residents and businesses of Joliet. Last year, we trained over 5,000 residents in AED and CPR training, including all the freshman classes at Joliet Township High Schools and some other junior highs throughout the community. Every minute a person goes without CPR, your chance of survival decreases by 10%. And everybody who's had an AED applied to them, a shock from there in the first minute of cardiac arrest, 90% of those survive. So it's very important that we can train as many of our citizens in CPR and get as many AEDs out in the community as possible. In 2020, the Joliet Fire Department started a community risk reduction program with the goal of becoming more than just a response organization. Through a robust community risk reduction programs, we want to be a more community-oriented fire department. Just as the robust efforts of fire prevention in the 70s and 80s drastically reduced the amount of fires in the United States, through a strategic investment of resources, we plan on doing the same thing by looking at all hazards in the city of Joliet, not just fires. Our fire stations are strategically located throughout the community to be able to offer a lot of these other unique services. The vision of our community risk reduction program is to work with families and individuals who are facing complex challenges and often need resources from more than one source. We will partner with other community agencies and work together to ensure the families in Joliet are safe, healthy, and have the opportunity to thrive. To find out what our community risks are, each year we perform an annual community risk assessment. We do that by using multiple sources of data in the community. While performing our community risk assessment a couple of years ago, the calls for mental and behavioral health calls stood out amongst the rest. Mental and behavioral health calls for the Joliet Fire Department are more than 10% of the EMS calls we respond to. In response to that, the City of Joliet started a community mental health program. According to the 2020 Will County Community Needs Assessment, access, cost, and transportation are the top 3 barriers people face in Joliet to get access to mental health care. The Joliet Mental Health Program removes all 3 barriers by providing cost-free, definitive mental health care within 24 to 48 hours and often on the same day. The patient can see their therapist as often as they want and through in-person or teletherapy. And the teletherapy then effectively reduces that need for transportation. The program started by training all of our firefighters in a program called Crisis First Aid for paramedics. Crisis First Aid accomplished 3 things for us. First and most importantly, if we were going to help the community, we had to help ourselves. So by training everybody in Crisis First Aid, it taught our firefighters how to recognize their own mental health issues and stresses on the job and that of their people they work with. The more the first responder knows about mental health, the better off they are prepared to help themselves and the community. Our firefighters are now better trained and educated in recognizing stresses amongst themselves and with the public, have the skills to cope, and have the resources at hand when they do have an issue. The second thing that Crisis First Aid has done for us is it helps us in the traumatic stress issues. Each year we respond to thousands of calls where somebody just experienced the loss of a loved one, a fire, maybe witnessed a tragic event or involved in a bad accident. These people at that time are suffering some form of loss and they're going through a lot of stress. In the past we largely ignored that because we didn't know what to say to them. So by performing CFA on these bystanders and providing them resources at the time, we hope they can get the care they need so they don't develop any issues in the future. Now we know when somebody just suffered a loss like that, they're probably not paying attention to us. So the key to this step in the program is in 24 to 48 hours, somebody from our community risk reduction will call you back and see that you're doing okay. Most of the time, that's all people need. It's just to know that somebody was there for them and they can call us back if they need us. But every once in a while, we do offer additional resources to get them to the place they need so they don't develop future issues. And the third portion of Crisis First Aid is obviously for the mental health patient themselves. CFA helps our paramedics assess the mental health of patients while still providing a medical evaluation. Up to 20% of mental health issues can be mimicked by a medical problem, so it's important that we still provide that medical evaluation. While paramedics are not clinicians, we use these techniques to calm and stabilize patients and get them to the proper, immediate, long-term definitive care. The results of our mental health program since 2022, the JFD has delivered crisis first aid to over 2,000 residents in Joliet experiencing mental illness or have experienced some type of traumatic event. The program has enrolled over 14,000 residents in clinical care with our partner ThriveWorks, where they've received over 11,000 cost-free therapy sessions. The program has treated everybody from age 4 all the way to 85. In 2023, our behavioral and mental health calls for service dropped by 3%. This is after decades of increases in the amount of mental health calls we went on. Even more encouraging, last year we saw a 31% drop in our suicide rate. While we still have a long way to go, these results testify to the collaborative effort between our community partners, and the city of Joliet. As the JFD mental health program has evolved, our firefighters and paramedics have honed their communication skills and are better at identifying root causes of situations. We now give constant feedback from our line firefighters and paramedics who have identified the lack of basic needs, a precursor to some of the mental health issues they see. The lack of basic needs often may determine or may cause somebody's anxiety and depression. If they can't eat, they just lost their job, their car's not working, can't get to work, sometimes that is the problem. So by identifying those needs, it helps us solve a lot of other issues that are going on. In response to that, that's where we've developed a community care program to address these needs. The community care program is based on the success of the Chelsea and Worcester, Massachusetts programs. It connects individuals and families facing complex challenges who need resources from more than one community agency. We partner with these other community agencies and work together to ensure families and individuals are safe, healthy, and have the opportunity to thrive. These agencies meet the first and third Tuesdays of the month at Station 1 for a structured discussion to address individuals and families at risk in our community. And we develop a rapid multi-agency response that offers support to reduce the immediate risk and develop lasting connections to services. The community care program works by first we identify vulnerable individuals and families, and that's where we need the community's help with. The police and fire, we use our data to develop our programs, but our data comes after a response has already happened. You guys see things that happen in your neighborhoods every day that we might not know about if we didn't respond there. So you guys feeding information in the program can help us what our ultimate goal is to get ahead of these issues so we don't have to respond. After we identify these individuals, we identify the actual problem and needs. We all see a problem through a different lens. The police see something one way, the fire department sees things another way, a social service sees it a different way. But when we're all in the same room at these community care meetings and we talk about that, what we think, well, that's not a big problem, but when we put it all together, you see what the big problem is. And that's how we get to the root cause and are actually able to really identify and help these individuals. Next, we identify what are the community barriers stopping this person from getting the help. We identify the resource and partners who are in this meeting that can all help. Somebody can help with housing, somebody can help with food, somebody can help them get a job, somebody can help with mental health. Then we form a team around that person's risk. We go out and visit that individual and offer them the services. And the key, just like the other program, is we follow up with them and follow through. We don't just give them a phone number to call and call this person. We assist them all the way through the process, make sure they're getting the care they need, and we constantly follow up through them until they get all the services they need. Important thing to know about the community care program, it's about offering support. It's not about enforcement. While the City of Joliet is spearheading the implementation process, it is crucial to note that no single agency or organization claims ownership to this program. It is truly a collaborative program initiated by the collective efforts of multiple human service providers in our community. To ensure that the efforts align with the community needs, we also meet with our community leaders and neighborhood organizations on the last Wednesday of every other month. This platform allows us to gather that valuable input from the community about the risks they observe in their own neighborhoods, which in turn helps us refine the program to meet the needs of the community. Joliet has many diverse neighborhoods with different risks, and people who live in our neighborhoods know those risks better than anyone. The important thing, though, is what we've heard already tonight is the City of Joliet cannot do this alone. While the City of Joliet government cannot fix many community issues unaided, we can work with our local partners to improve condition and reduce these risks in our community. The City of Joliet is a component of this program that provides direction, support, and engagement in areas where other community groups, churches, and individuals may not be able to. There is much heavy lifting to be done, and the people in our neighborhoods must be involved in these programs for them to be effective. As the JFD has become more community-oriented, the demand from the community has also increased. The Joliet Fire Department Community Risk Reduction Team had 695 contacts with residents in 2023. And this year alone, they've already surpassed that number and are paced for over 2,000 contacts with our residents that are needing assistance. There have been 69 clients that have brought to the bi-monthly community care meetings this year, and these are individuals who need multiple agency support that are a little more than a single agency. The average client we see through the community care program needs 4 community resources to solve their issues. So you can see how they can get lost in the process, and we're there to help guide them through it. We have multiple people who have been calling 911 over 50 times in the past few years. Once we've identified those root causes through these programs, these individuals no longer call 911, saving the city, the community, large amounts of money. Where we're going next with this is a program called Community Paramedicine. Community paramedicine is a rapidly growing field within the medical field that wishes to address great gaps in the behavioral and mental health care of those meeting in our community. The Joliet community paramedics will serve as a critical component of the healthcare system for residents who lack timely access to mental and physical health care and have transportation issues. One focus of the community paramedicine program is to conduct detailed community assessments, defining and confirming specific problems that were reported in the Will County Community Needs Assessment. These evaluations will include access to health care, food and nutrition, stabilizing the built environment, and other factors. The community paramedicine will provide outreach programs focusing on prevention and instilling healthy habits in our residents. The community paramedic will provide the residents with medical and mental health resources and referrals to the needed level of cares, many which already exist in our community. People sometimes just don't know where to look. The paramedic's ability to visit the patient in the home is a critical point to the community paramedic program. Home visits will reduce the patient's transportation needs, allowing in-person physical assessment, testing procedures, and evaluation. This in-home service permits the paramedic to observe the conditions in the home where the patient lives, noting the risk and potential improvements in the living environment and the built community. We might be looking for fall hazards, trip hazards, fire hazards within the home. So we want to make sure people can stay in their home and stay safe. Reaching patients in their home will reduce the burden on the already overburdened healthcare system, save residents a significant amount of money, and ensure they can access care when needed. Beyond the pandemic, the U.S. is facing a huge healthcare shortage. With the growing healthcare needs of the retiring baby boomers, there's not enough Gen X and millennials to care for our growing population. The shortage of healthcare workers will only make the underserved communities more underserved. Community paramedicine programs may be the best way to provide healthcare in our older populations. Community paramedicine teams can treat many needs that do not require hospital visits at the patient homes. One of the most successful community paramedic programs in the country is from Dallas-Fort Worth. In 5 years, they saved their community over $800 million in Medicaid charges. So we will reduce the burden on the overcrowded emergency rooms, ensuring that people needing emergency care and have the health care available that they need. While we are making great strides to reduce risk in Joliet, we still have a lot of work to do. We're not there yet. It's going to take some time. We cannot do this alone, though, as we've all been saying here. All the programs discussed tonight involve collaboration with our community partners. Our programs must have community involvement for them to be successful. Please contact us for more information that you guys have heard tonight. Thank you again for taking the time to be here tonight as we all work together to build a safe and strong Joliet.
Thank you, Chief. Just a couple housekeeping items. I already received a couple questions about what does SOS stand for with the Joliet Police Department. That stands for Special Operations Squad. It is our name for SWAT team. Also, I wanted to mention that the City of Joliet has procured Spanish to English translation services, so if you do require that, feel free to flag me down or someone in the back, and we can help you out with that. Okay, so we received quite a few questions, so we'll just jump right into it. We're going to do this just so we can be most respectful of everyone's time. We'll first go through these questions, and then I will come out into the crowd, and you'll be able to make comment or ask further questions. We have approximately 45 minutes to do that, okay? So we'll get started right now. The first one is, I appreciate the work that has been done by the Joliet Police Department and understand the challenges faced by any major or less major city. My observation has been that there is a large crime/drug area that appears to be left behind, such as Jefferson-Larkin area, which is very close proximity to local schools. Our children are being exposed to behaviors and actions that is damaging. What is or are possible plans for improvement? Also, any plans for the walking trails and motels? Also, thank you for the counseling services being offered in our city, and thank you for the after-school programs partnership with the YMCA. So throughout that, the question is there any possible plans for improvement for crime-ridden areas? Looks like it was mentioned Jefferson and Larkin, also walking trails and motels.
I think, okay, thank you. I think that the more we know and the more the citizens bring certain things to our attention, the quicker we can get on them. I get emails and I get phone calls either from City Hall or from community groups or from citizens themselves reporting certain things, and we do get on them right away. I'm sure my staff is probably overwhelmed with all the things I throw on them. But at the end of the day, they get the job done, and as long as we know about certain things, we can take action on it. This is the first I'm hearing of this, so I would really like to hear a little bit more about it to see what we can do as far as enforcement action on that.
I'll take the question on the trails, and I'm going to say that at our last council meeting, we passed a long-term comprehensive plan that I think is going to help us move into the future. You know, one of the main goals that we have is to create a quality of life for all of us. So this long-term comprehensive plan is going to take a look at whatever blank canvas we have left in the 65 square miles of Joliet to make sure that our focus is a quality of life. We need to really pursue that. And we know what we have right now. We're working with a group called Urban 3 that's going to kind of lay out our now. And then as we progress with this long-term comprehensive plan, that's how we're going to work on our next. So we are very cognizant of making sure that quality of life is the utmost of this long-term comprehensive plan.
Thank you. The next question. Were the drownings attributed to suicide or suspicious circumstances?
Dwayne, I think that question would be best answered by somebody from the investigations division, if they would not mind contributing.
Sure.
Hi, my name's John Ross. I'm a lieutenant. I'm a supervisor with the investigation division. Last week, some people were on WJOL. They mentioned a series of names. I went through, looked up each one of those names that was mentioned on the radio broadcast. And so, like we said earlier, we're not going to get into specifics of each individual case, but I did review the names that were mentioned. Each one of them passed from drowning. Each one of them, the manner of death was either ruled a suicide by the coroner's office or undetermined by the coroner's office. None of these deaths were attributed to homicides.
Thank you. All right, the next question is actually for Deputy Chief Matlock. You want us to be supportive, but how do you dismantle the no snitching culture in the community?
Well, the no snitching community. It's called courage. Everyone, if you think about it in a fashion that if this was your family, what would you want someone to do? I mean, we all take risks during, in our lives during every day. So if this was your family, you would want someone to come forward and do the right thing. So we look for everyone to look at it if it's one of their own family members, because as soon as it happens to one of our own, then we want someone to return and snitch, so to speak, and it's something that we didn't do when it was outside of our home. So in other words, it's a risk that you take, but anyone can be labeled as a snitch, but doing the right thing is the hard thing to do. So definitely I would say if you see something, say something, because I'm going to say something. And it's not just because I'm the police. We all in this room know a lot more than what goes on out here in the community. We, as the police department, we don't solve the crime. The community solves the crime. 9 times out of 10, when a crime happened, I'm at home sleeping. We get called there, and someone in this room was there. So we rely on you and your courage to step forward and do the right thing.
Dwayne, I just would like to clarify something on my last answer. After Rob Brown had reminded me that there is and this may be what you're talking about, there is a homeless issue, panhandling issue in the roadway at Larkin and Jeff. That may be what the person was referring to. If it is, we do routinely go by and check that area. We have cited a lot of people. It's important to understand you cannot panhandle from the roadway. It has to be off the roadway. It has to be off curb to curb. You are allowed to panhandle. The Supreme Court has already told us that that is an acceptable thing. But I just wanted to kind of clear that up, that this may be an issue of panhandling and things like that. We do try to stay on top of it. I know last year it became really bad, and we sent a bunch of units out there on a regular basis, and they wrote several ordinance violations to those people that were in the roadway. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Mayor Darcy, this next question is for you. At our nonviolent city, at our nonviolent city project, Joliet Candidate Forum, you and others all said you would have no problem signing the Nonviolent Cities Project proclamation, and now it is still not signed. Why not?
Well, one thing that I would say, and I'm going to address you, Doug, because I know you brought that question to us. That is not a local organization, and I applaud that you're pursuing that. But you know, we've got our own CARES program here, and we're putting all of our energy into that. There is some dialogue in that I might not have agreed with. When you tell me that you want me to sign a nonviolent city, I absolutely will sign that we want a nonviolent city. But I want that to be procured and invented here in this community, because that's all I really worry about is this community. So that's why we're focusing so hard on our version of a nonviolent city and working so hard to get to that point. And doing a darn good job of it if you look at our statistics.
Thank you. How many police officers does the Joliet Police Department have?
We're budgeted for 286 at this point. We're down to 262. You heard me mention in my speech that we are aggressively hiring. But with that hiring also comes some retirements. So we are going to continue to hire until we reach that organizational goal of 286 people. We're doing well, but we do have some challenging times ahead of us as far as staffing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. When is NOPT, which stands for Neighborhood Oriented Policing Team, going to be brought back to full staff? They are very important to our crime problem areas.
We love the NOPT. We think it's a fantastic unit within our police department. But once again, when you're over 20 people short departmentally, it's hard to get people into these specialized units. I think Chief Brown just recently added another person to the NOPT. There's other units that we'd like to add some people to as well. But right now, we just have to be very careful that we don't strip the patrol division of vital resources that are needed on the street. We'd love to have more people in traffic. We'd love to have more people in NOPT. We'd love to have more people in narcotics and tactical. And that will come as soon as we get fully staffed.
Thank you. How many detectives does the Joliet Police Department have?
Right now we have 22, and that division also is understaffed as well, but it goes along with the Chief Evans said, when we are fully staffed, we can move people around and put them in the proper units to bring those units up to staff. Patrol is the backbone of the police department. Without patrol, there is no police department. Anything outside of that, we have to have boots on the ground before we start, moving people into specialized units, and we can't do that without staffing. Thanks.
Thank you. Why can't we have flock cameras installed to deter crime to protect all citizens?
Chief Matlock, would you mind answering that?
We have over 61 flock cameras installed throughout the city. They're not in specific areas. They are throughout this entire city. So those flock cameras are installed throughout the city to protect the entire city, not one individual neighborhood. Now, if a neighborhood requests to purchase their own flock cameras, they can do that. But the flock cameras we, as the city, install, they're designed for the safety of the entire city, not just certain communities.
Can I take a piece of that also? I'm very cognizant of the need for many more flock cameras. Right now, we're having a problem with IDOT. We've got 11 or 12 places that we like to put them, but they're very difficult because IDOT doesn't want to work with us on that. So if any of our state legislators are here tonight, I would like to mention that we could use all the help we can get, because it seems like a continued roadblock. This is for the safety of our city, and there's nothing more important than that. And these flocks are so important to our police department that the more the better on that. And I know that we've got more poised to put up, but these are very vital. When you go down the highway and you see the Amber Alerts, we want to know if any of those cars are entering any of our communities. I've talked to the leadership at the county about talking about doing a county-wide comprehensive flock partnership so that we would know anybody that's ingressing or egressing the whole county. And then once we get that established as well, then we know where that movement is. I've seen these things in action. They're phenomenal. So we're very cognizant of that, and we will continue to get more funding on that. But we sure could use the state to play ball with us on that and help us put those where we need them in the most crucial places.
Amen. Thank you. Why were the drownings not investigated sooner, and why did it take so long to install cameras along the river?
Once a person is reported missing, there are steps that we as investigators take. We normally try to reach out to the family and different things like that, put out flyers for the missing person. We don't know that these people are jumping in the river. We do not know that. We do not have a starting point. We rely on the family to tell us what they know about the individual victims. So we don't really know, and to start looking in the river immediately, we don't know we don't have a starting point. If someone go missing, the family report them. If you suspect they jump in the river, then you would tell us, then we'll start looking for the river, and that's where the fire department, we work collaborative with fire department to start searching for the rivers. But when initial missing person report come in, our first instinct is not to go check the river, because what reason would we have to check the river? And where in the river would we start? The river goes, from the Brandon locks to Lockport lock. Where do we start? So we don't really have a starting point unless the family have some pertinent information to provide to us, say, we believe they jumped in the river. So, yes.
I'm going to jump on that one a little bit too. So in the last year, we have installed 8 cameras. As much as we can right now, we're working with Illinois Department of Natural Resources so we don't control the river wall, but we have been investigating, and the chief's been working on a project to try and find some motion sensing cameras so that we could have basically laser lines to know if someone's crossing the border or someone's near there, that could give us an instant alert that someone, there's motion around there. And no matter what it is, that can make an immediate use to see what's going on over there. If it's a person, we know it's a person. If it's something else, we know it's something else. But we're working right now to come up with a plan that might allow us to have motion detecting cameras to know that something is happening and to try and prevent and try and get there as quickly as possible if something does happen.
I'd also like to quickly point out that we've engaged in a help sign campaign. Recently, City Hall and the police department and the fire department collaborated, and we decided that we wanted to put some signage on the riverfront. The signage would be information about a helpline. People do come to the river for reasons other than fishing and boating. Sometimes people come in there to intentionally jump in, possibly to end their life or some other reason. We want to be able to have that information out on the riverfront, so when a person is experiencing a mental health issue, or they're experiencing depression or something like that, and they're coming to the river, they can see these signs, and hopefully, and I know this works in other jurisdictions because I've done some research on it, but hopefully they can make the call to the 988 number and get the kind of help they need before they decide to enter the river.
Thank you. Chief Carey, this one is for you. And I think you did touch on this in your remarks, but we'll still go through this. Is there a charge to use the ThriveWorks mental health services? And also, are there live therapists, or is the therapy done via Zoom?
No, ThriveWorks offers everything from family counseling all the way to psychiatry. It works by, they take whatever insurance you have, whatever insurance doesn't cover, the city has a fund that picks up the rest. If you are uninsured, the city picks up the whole thing. So it ends up being no cost to Joliet residents. And what was their part? The therapy? Oh, the therapy, sorry. Yeah. The therapy can be in-person or telehealth. 90% of the people who use it do telehealth, but that's by patient choice. Usually, and most people get in about 4 to 5 days, but same thing. It's by patient choice. They often have therapists available for you for that day, but a lot of times it doesn't allow to fit your schedule. So they're very flexible. Like I said, even if you were doing teletherapy and you change your mind and you wanted to see the therapist in person, then you can go see the therapist in person. The office is located at 1051 Essington in Joliet, and they have 5 clinicians there with a special therapy land for kids as age 5 to 12.
Thank you. Chief Evans, what strategy do you have or working on to implement peace in our neighborhoods, specifically East Side, specifically the areas near Norton Avenue and Jerome Street?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What strategy do you have or are you working on to implement peace in our neighborhoods, especially East Side, especially near Norton Avenue and Jerome Street?
The answer to the first question is, last summer we made a strategic decision to put 6 extra bodies in our tactical unit, hoping that we could slow some of the violent crime down in the city. I think that worked out very well last summer, as that unit itself recovered 81 guns in the year 2023. So, thank you. Yeah, we'd like to continue to add to that unit and have more tactical officers out on the street. That will come in good time. So that's probably the best answer I can give you right now, is that we would love to be able to put more people into our tactical unit to have the kind of enforcement that we need in some of these communities. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on something. That area that you just said, Jerome, so we track crime statistics all the time, every week. We have someone dedicated to that. And that area isn't really rated as one of our highest areas. We do have officers that work that area, tactical officers work that area. That area is always under surveillance. But we go pretty much where the crime trends are. We know certain areas that they have the drug house, for example. When you guys talked about Jeff and Larkin area, we look for open house drug sales. It's not happening there. Okay, so we target those areas with our tactical units. We have other tactical cars that come out of patrol on the weekend to address these issues. But as far as that location, I can tell you, is not really a high crime area. However, we do have officers conducting surveillance close by that area, and we do have tactical officers in that area.
Thank you. So this question, it says at the top fire department, but honestly, I think any one of you three could probably answer this. What do you see as the most dire needs / services that our Joliet youth have a need for?
I think the biggest need we have is for programs for the kids. I have been meeting with the YMCA over the last 6 months, and they want to do several programs throughout the city to start to engage our young people. During that election campaign, I pointed out that there are over 40,000 kids in our community under the age of 19, and it's imperative that we find things for them to do. I was sad to hear that I talked to a group of them one time, and I said, what do you do in the winter when it's cold out? Well, we go walk through Target or Walmart. We have to do better than that, and we will work on doing better than that so that we can find, I know there's a lot of great social service agencies, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Clubs. We need more, and the YMCA will engage with us to try and find neighborhood by neighborhood ways to get these kids more involved, and I will follow up on that after this meeting tonight.
From a police department perspective, we do have the pack camp for the kids during the summers. Every year, we get more and more kids involved in that, and our staff actually runs that. So that's one of the things that the PD is doing as far as youth.
Yeah, and last year we brought back our Citizens Fire Academy that we had so many people sign up for right away, we could have probably done 4 of them. We are doing it again this year. We're going to move that into a junior firefighter academy, and they are doing internship with JT.
We're doing a
mentoring with high schools.
the shadowing program.
And a shadowing program with our high schools. So we're slowly kind of building all those programs back. We have so much need for it. We need to put more of those on.
Thank you. This may be more of a general question. What about the shootings in the spring? Have any of the suspects been arrested?
I think that would be a question to refer to the investigations division.
Most of our shootings that has happened over the course of this year, we have made arrests on those suspects. So we've cleared a lot of cases throughout the investigations on the shootings that happened in the city of Joliet in the year 2023. All right. 2024, sorry.
Okay, I have a few left, so we can transition to giving you a chance to provide further comment. This is essentially just a comment, and you're more than welcome to speak to it if you like. A separate task force should be assigned to take a second look at the bodies found in the river as a homicide instead of an accident or suicide. Why aren't detectives required to come out to investigate shootings?
That's probably something that's misrepresented. And the detectives respond to shootings constantly. If there's a shooting and the victim's cooperative, a detective is on the scene if they're willing to talk, and we have information that's going to further that investigation. So detectives respond constantly throughout the night and day to any violent crime. Shooting is included. Thank you.
What is the city and JPD doing about all the semi-truck traffic down by Center Point?
Ouch. That's an initiative that we've been working really hard on. That Hobolt Road Bridge and that diverging diamond was designed to try and bring the trucks to that central area to get in and out of the intermodal. We know that these truckers are on Waze and different types of maps, and they seem to go wherever they want. So we're working with a company right now called High Point, and we've got some what they call LiDAR cameras that we're looking to engage that would then become a way to electronically ticket these trucks in the wrong places. We need to start letting them know that at $500 or $750, that $8 toll shouldn't be too bad. We're also working diligently with our IDOT partners to try and corral the truck traffic downtown here. We want our downtown back. They've taken that from us, and we need to get it back. So we're working hard on plans, you know, and don't anybody take offense to this, but the speed of government's a little slower than what I'm used to, so we're working hard on trying to expedite these plans, but we're very cognizant of the need to keep the trucks on the interstates and the highways where they belong, and that the intermodal has got one way in and one way out, and we believe that only way should be the Hobolt Road Bridge. You know, we're trying to find ways to keep them off 53 and Briggs Street, but we're working hard on that, and we want to get our downtown back.
I just want to quickly comment that High Point Solutions situation will be going to the Public Safety Committee very shortly. You know, we just mentioned downtown, and I think one thing is important to point out is that there was some concerns about safety downtown when people are going to the restaurants or the Rialto. So we made a decision about a year and a half ago to put 2 officers on foot downtown throughout the warmer months. Typically, we have those officers out there most of the week, and it's paid a lot of dividends because we've gotten a lot of phone calls and things like that telling us how wonderful they thought it was. But I just want that presence out there with the uniformed policemen walking up and down Chicago Street, checking in the bars, checking in the restaurants, checking in the open stores, so that people feel that there's a level of comfort there. Thank you.
Okay, I have 2 more questions in this format, then I'll come out into the crowd. I've gone to city council meetings through the years, and I keep seeing things get voted on that residents or the public does not want, like the warehouse, warehouses and developments. City officials need to understand what problems they are causing people with all these developments. It stresses us all out, and it affects our safety. Trucks, crime, and serious health problems are what comes with all these developments. How in the future do you intend to stop this trend and care about quality of life?
Well, I think that some of the developers are not real thrilled with me right now because we tried to pause some of the annexation agreements to start to let us allow this long-term comprehensive plan help us decide how to best integrate our industrial partners with, more importantly, our community. Our community comes first. We've got 150,000 reasons to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And we have some annexation agreements that we're working with, but most importantly, we're trying to find a way to keep this truck traffic to a minimum, that how it would affect our quality of life. So I'm saying the long-term comp plan is going to hopefully give us that vision on how to make this all work. So that's vital to us finding our future that way. You know, we've got a wonderful forest preserve system. We've still got a lot of open land that we haven't developed, and we don't have enough workforce housing. So there's a lot of components we have to work on. So I agree, there's enough right now to go around for what we have as far as industrial needs. And please don't tell anybody outside this room that I said that.
Okay, lastly, for the note cards, why can't the state police take over JPD investigations?
That's a jurisdictional issue, for one, and for two, I wouldn't have anybody take over the Joliet Police Department Investigations Division, because I believe that they're probably one of the finest investigative crews that I've ever dealt with in 29 years of being on the police department. I'm not sure I really understand the question. Is there something more specific? I mean,
Sure.
Drop to the floor, to crawl. My children live in fear. They can't even be in the living room or dining room or kitchen area. They grab food and run down to the basement, and it's horrible that we have to live like that. But 19 shootings, over 150 bullets have pierced through my wall. Chief Evans, you've been to my living room. You've seen the big bullet holes in my walls. And I've spent over $25,000 on renovating windows and doors and stucco damage to my home. Put cameras, 19 different shootings, and nobody's ever been arrested. In fact, I've had a FOIA request the reports just to know that people were apprehended in possessions of those guns that ballistically matched the shooting, but they said they didn't do it and they were let go free. Of course, nobody's going to raise their hand and said they're shooting at my home. But the reality is that botched investigation brought danger to my home. And I don't feel we're safe. I don't feel we're protected. And I feel, been failed as a family to have the protection that we deserve. And so when you say we have the best investigative team, I have to wonder, and I hope you understand my concern and have empathy for me and my children, that we live through this nightmare every day. We live through it, and we don't have the protection. We don't feel safe in my own home. And they've not solved anything. And you stated a moment ago, Matlock, that detectives have to come out. I can give you copies of my FOIA reports where there's police officers coming and they're telling me, where's the bullet? And I have to show them because they don't even know how to look for it. And I asked for a detective. Chief Evans, you know I've called you on your cell phones requesting a detective to please come out. And we don't ever get detectives coming out to my home to investigate the shootings. In fact, I'm told the only time a detective will come out is if somebody's been hurt. But by the grace of God, God is so amazing, 19 shootings, none of us have been struck with a bullet because of the blood of Jesus that is over us, because I pray over my seeds. So I ask, if your detective team cannot solve the shootings, please hand this case over to the state police so that they can investigate and give my family the safety that we need.
We all
Thank
know.
you.
Okay, thank you. We all know that if you're street savvy here, when the shooting is done, those guns rotate through gang members. They rotate through. Because we catch someone with the weapon that was used in a crime, we only can arrest someone. The state's attorney actually make the charges, to actually prosecute someone. So after it leaves our jurisdiction within the police department, it's up to the state's attorney to prosecute the case. Because they're found with a handgun that's rotated through different gang members' hands, we can't charge them with a crime of shooting up your home. Now, your house, I'm going to go back to the question where you mentioned about detectives coming out. That is a violent crime, your house being shot up. But at that time, our officers on the street do the exact same thing that a police officer would do, a regular detective would do. They do a canvass. They search for cameras on homes. The exact same thing a detective would do is what we'll do. We don't have anyone to identify anything. So at that point, a detective would not respond to that because there's nothing else we can do at that time but try to follow up later and see if we can find more body cameras throughout the whole community. But no, I understand your home has been shot up for different, at different times, and even referring to the incident where the bullet was found in your house, you had to point that out. That was not, you didn't point that out to a detective, you pointed it out to a patrolman, and I watched that video, and she was very professional when she got to your home and asked you this question of where was the bullet. And it's kind of the question like, where's the bullet? I walk up to a scene, what do we have? It's like me, if I walked up to a scene, I'm gonna ask you, what do we have? And I guess my expectation would be you explain to me what happened, I have a bullet here and the bullet's here. So I thought it was a very professional response from that officer, and detectives do respond, as I said earlier, when we have a victim that's struck and very cooperative or whatever, but in this case, there was no further leads at that time for us to come out and for a detective to show up. And I will say this here, piggybacking on what Chief Evans said, the detectives in the Joliet Police Department are the finest detectives in this city. And the finest, and I would compare them with anyone in this country. Thank you.
Well, I currently have, as everybody probably knows, a civil lawsuit from 2021 when the officers came in with excessive force in the pursuit of the Halloween shooters. They came to my home and entered my mother's apartment first illegally and then worked their way, forcing their way into my apartment. Now, at that time, your detective, Tisak, he basically told me, if your son, Elian, has any information on any shootings in the area, I could make some of these charges go away. I don't call that exactly good investigative work. I would imagine that if you studied for this profession and this is what you do, you find facts. You don't go off a hearsay of what the attended suspect is saying, right? But that's what he said to me. And I'm willing, I know what perjury is, and I could be sued for libel or anything, slander. I'm not lying. I'm willing to take a lie detector test for everything I say out of my mouth is truth. And all I'm asking for is to be treated with respect and my family. And we've not been receiving that. And it's been just kind of swept under the carpet. And when your officer came, respectfully, I said to the dispatcher, my house was shot. I have a huge bullet hole in the front picture window. When she came up the stairs, she should have been looking at the picture window. She's coming up the stairs. She didn't. In fact, she said, where's the bullet? Like, I'm sorry to say, she was a rookie cop. My home has been shot 19 times. It's a lot of trauma. I don't know, you have kids, but my kids are traumatized. We live like if we're in the Middle East in a war. We're not. We're in my home. And I've begged for flock cameras to be put on the block. That was my question. And it hurts when I see Glasgow giving $5,000 check to Shanahan, you know, because they have cars getting stolen in Shanahan. I'm trying to protect my children and my neighbors whose windows are getting shot out. My neighbor who had to sell his home and move to Florida because of the fear. We shouldn't have to be living like this. So I beg you, new mayor with the quality of life focus, please don't forget about us. There's many of me out there. There's many of my family. We are in therapy. We are going through a lot. And I have good children. You can go speak to Central High School, speak to Dean Ferris. She could speak to how I raise my seeds. But I don't care what's purported in the paper. You know, I know the truth always comes to light. It just takes time. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, myself and the young lady in the back with the microphone, if you raise your hand, we'll be happy to come with you. We have about 15 to 20 minutes left in our forum. Please be brief so we can give everyone a chance to speak. I ask that you keep your comments to right around 1 minute, please. Thank you.
All right, this question might be a little, you might think it's off, but with the sun reaching its global, like a solar maximus and the state of, you know, all the affairs and globally, if something happens to our satellites, is there any like protocols or plans that you guys have for us to follow so there's not complete chaos? If communications stop working and we don't know what to do, our TVs and our phones and everything stops working eventually pretty soon here, what are we going to do? Is there any plans for that?
Yeah, we have an emergency management officer that would be in charge of that question. I don't know that he is here tonight. It sounds like that could go to a more federal level than we are, but as a city, I don't have an answer for you on that exact question.
What would your advice be for us to just stay inside? Or, I mean, everyone's looking at me like that's never going to happen, but it's a possibility.
Well, I think from time to time our electronic systems do go down. Just recently, I think Verizon or one of the major carriers went down, and it was back up within a few hours. So, yeah, I think the best solution to that would be hang tight until the proper authorities get it worked out and get it moving in the right direction.
Good evening. I wanted to ask, when I came to Joliet in 1991, and they were shooting up and down the streets day and night, breaking bottles in the middle of the street. I moved on Union, on First and Union, and they were shooting up JB's store and all around in there. Mexicans and blacks was fighting. I pooled the neighborhood with the parents. First, I got on the children, young teenagers, young adults, right there at the corner of JB's store. And I asked them what did they need, what did they want. That I just moved in the neighborhood, put all my money in that house, and I had to get on the floor. Me and my handicapped sister every night for 3 nights. 4th day, I was on the corner at JB's with me, a big old stick. And they like, what she think she gonna do with that? And I cracked 1 or 2 and told them, get in line, put your guns down, get in line. And let me see what y'all know. A mother of 2 have raised about 600 in the city of Chicago. along with all my children on the south side going to school, nieces and nephews, and realizing that the parents were afraid of these children here and these young people, and so were the police officers. And I've never seen anything like this in my life. I think at the time it might have been 20 after-school programs or rec centers or daycare centers or whatever they had that was supposed to be a place for the children to go. The children didn't go because there wasn't nothing for them to do. I asked them, what did they want? What did they need that would stop them from shooting and breaking bottles in the street and clowning like, we don't have nowhere to go. We don't have nothing to do. I said, well, y'all come and help me tear down all 5 of them brick garages in the back of my house I just got. I'm going to put up y'all a basketball court. Joliet had, I think, maybe between 15 and 20 of us that was willing to work with the people here in Joliet. All of us sitting in this room, all of us might have an hour or 2 hours a week to do something to help. I reached out to the whole city. Mel Schultz, Jim Shepard, all of them came. A lot of the work, jobs, businesses in Joliet came. They all came. Ms. Brown, what can we do to help you? They was willing to give them jobs. The city got 2 of the blue trucks and started to clean up the street, the old factory down there on First and Union, and build houses. I mean, if you got people that's concerned and really want to help, then more programs need to be put in where some of these people that's willing to help can get $1 or $2 to help. If it's nothing but to get them some gas, if it's nothing but to get them to be there to help along with the young men and young women, if they're willing to come wherever we can do something. It can't be in no 1 or 2 houses and that's that, because it's thousands of children and young men and young women here, some on drugs, some are not. I dealt with them on every level, every level. I had my brother to come here to the correctional center. The last show he did in life was here at the Rialto for me to help me get money to help with these young men and women here. I got them jobs. The mayor and them came on the corner, a Second and Richard. They had a big meeting. The only one was complaining was the one that put them all in jail, the prosecutor. They ain't gonna do nothing, they love murder. We on the phone live, 2.5 hours. And I said, they're not murderers. All of them are somebody's children. I don't care what color they are, nothing. All of them are welcome down here to where I live. I put them up a 40 by 80 basketball court because they had nowhere to go. Out of my own pocket, I did that with no help from nobody. And I hired everybody from the mission, from Daybreak. Y'all want to come? Minimum wage was $4.25. I gave them $5 an hour. The neighborhood came in and helped. These people sitting here will help if we had more places for them to do things in, a little money so that they could get around in their cars or a ride or something, and really a program that could help everybody to make this a place to live in. I even went across the bridge. Got a lot of them from over there in the project. Put ads in the paper. All y'all welcome to come. Can't bring no cigarettes on my property. Can't bring no drugs on my property. Can't bring your guns. They came with guns. I took them. Beat them on their hands.
All right, man, we have to give.
So all I'm saying is, we, as a people here, if y'all serious about wanting to help, the funding is in Joliet. We need help. We got places that they can come. Some of us got yards and have barbecues and things for them. When they blew up the people's house, 5 cocktail bombs on First and Richard, when they first moved there, and the man, take me down, we go back to Mexico, now y'all ain't going nowhere. I'll sit on my top floor, watch our house every day, every night.
Okay, ma'am.
It helped. So they had a neighborhood service, a neighborhood meeting, the police, detectives, the commission, Daybreak, everybody got together, food and resources, money, pots, drinks, and it happened. We welcome the people in the neighborhood. Y'all go look at the paper. Fanny Brown, Sister James Brown. We did a lot here to help these people.
We appreciate your comments.
Don't have no financial help.
We
Thank you
appreciate
very
your
much.
comments. And one of the most important words you use is together. And together is why we're here tonight. We want to continue together to make this city better for everyone.
Hi. My name is Jewel Robinson. I'm the mother of Robert Long, the last young man that was pulled out of this Plains River. And I've been sitting here and I've been listening. I heard the young man on the stage talking about the missing person. When I called for the missing person report, I was told I had to wait 48 hours. I went to the police station and I was told, whoever told you that said it was a lie. You shouldn't have had to wait. then. My son was missing from April 11th to the 19th. On the 12th, I was told my son was pushed in the water. Then I was told you don't go in the water off of hearsay. I came to the community council meeting and asked for help. Then and only then were the boats put in the water. When the media came out, they put more boats in the water. I heard this young man saying that these are drowning. We have had 15 bodies in that water, 4 being Hispanic, 11 being African American. My son ain't jumped in no water. My son was pushed in that water. And Detective Bo, I haven't heard from him. It's been 2 months. I haven't received a toxin report. No one has contacted me to give me no kind of information pertaining to my son. So for you to say that our kids drown, how do you know? How do you know? What are you doing to find out if they drowned or not? I want to thank you, Mayor, because you just told the truth and you said there's no cameras that can detect a body being thrown in that water. I'm asking for help, man. We need some gates along that water. You have a July 4th celebration every year. You go out this door, it's a chain. What's going to protect somebody from going in that water? How is that chain going to protect a child from falling in that water? Or for someone getting through in that water? These cameras y'all talking about, I've yet to see one of them. And I've been all up and down the river taking pictures. So my cry is to get some help, some fencing, some cameras, some detectives to really look into these cases. I gave them some names and I was told that, oh, everybody say these guys did it, but can't nobody prove it. Then he says to me, oh, I didn't mean to say it like that. Yes, you did. You said it just the way you meant to say it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we are running very short on time here, so we only have time for a few more. Is there anybody over on that side of the room that...
All right. I'm sorry, she's holding. I know we got a few minutes, but first of all, I want to say thank you. We have a mayor that cares about all people. And you gave a voice to these young people and these mothers for that river. We started in 2021 called Break the Silence and Wake the Truth when nobody wanted to stand with these mothers. And I appreciate that they now have a voice. So I'm not going to talk much about that again. The mother speaks for themselves. And I think it's important that, yes, we were told a lot of things that when it becomes a state case, when they're in the river, it becomes a state case. So then I guess the question is, when does it become a Joliet case? Only after or before? So these questions they're asking you had been asked way in 2021 with Anthony Dunn, with Billie Bailey, with Quitten. The mother just left because she couldn't take it anymore. What I'm saying, don't minimize their feelings. Don't minimize their hearing. Don't minimize their healing. That's why they're here. And I say break that silence and wake the truth. Everyone who have lost a loved one still want the truth and they want something to just comfort them. So to minimize to say they're all drowned. Now we say this in our own culture, black folks don't swim. So we don't get in there and jump in the river. So keep that in mind. We ain't all just jumping in the river. But let me tell you another thing. It is only chains that's keeping that person, somebody from jumping in there. I went to that councilman in 2021, and we're not going to say names, but they said the parents need to pay more attention to those toddlers. Well, sometimes it happens. Let's do a more security with the state. Let's work with the state. Let's get things built a little bit bigger. And I thank you for saying there was cameras that that you guys got the money for. You told us way before Mr. Long was found that you was going to have working cameras. So my one question is, who monitors those cameras, and how often do you do it? Last thing is, I want to talk about the parking, that $30 ticket that everybody's getting downtown. When are you going to take that away? Because we're still paying those meters downtown. You just said there's nothing down there right now. So continue to work on that $30 ticket that some people just want to go to the library, but they're still getting a $30 ticket for parking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are up on time. We will take one more comment. I was told there's a young lady here that has had her hand up for a long time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Aguirre. I'm a community person that is very much in concern of Joliet. I love Joliet. I'm not originally from here, but I've been here for long enough to see the things that the city has done, and thank you very much for the police. However, referring into one of the questions that I think I don't know, I can recall your name, sir. The one in the one of the detectives, him. In the Jerome, how do you determine which is the area that it needs more cameras, or that it needs more surveillance, or that it's got high crimes, or how do you determine which is the area that you are going to put more police into it?
All right, so we do crime statistics where we look at calls for service, we look at the amount of shots being fired in a certain area, and just citizen complaints. That's what we look at. And when I mean citizen complaints, not only shooting, burglaries, robberies, but parking and everything like that. Based on that, we track crime around the entire city. So I know from operation, I'm the operations chief, I could see where things are really happening, and then they drill down to that area. So I just want you to understand something. I don't want you to think that you don't have officers in your area. But what we do is we move officers to the high crime areas where things are occurring. Not all day, but at specific times. Every morning I get a report of where the shootings are occurring, what time they're occurring, so we can deploy officers based on that. If we see something like, for example, because we have limited amount of officers, if I see something happen on the weekend, for example, in the Jerome area, I would then put officers out, extra officers out, just to try to combat that. Undercover officers and marked officers. But yeah, we track it all around the city. So I don't want you to think that the police aren't going to respond there and they're not going to come there, and they're not there. But to get the full response of like a task force, for example, we have to drill down to certain areas, and that's where we will go.
Well, just, I don't want to take one more minute. Well, there's another street, that Norton Avenue, which is right there, and there's dead end. And the thing is that even a SWAT team has been in that area. They collected, I don't know how many guns from this particular property. And very unfortunate, this property is Section 8. And I know that Section 8, that's another things that I would like to speak to our, our senator to see if we can do some more legislations and change the public housing requirements and certain things that we can, because they've been putting anybody, and there's some slam landlords like Proton Properties, and let me tell you, yes, there's some slam properties, and also Ralph Bias. Because let me tell you, I'm tired of it. I'm a taxpayer, and I'm always going to speak up, and whatever I see, I'm going to tell.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. I know there are a lot of hands still up. I want to be able to respect all of our time.